I've been to a lot of these rallies, Adelaide, Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, and I've got a favourite slogan that appears in many of these signs, and it's the slogan that says, "Love them both." And I like that slogan because it is what we seek to do. We seek to point to a better way, and it is the way that says, "Love them both." And that has real meaning, you know. Jesus defined the word love by telling the story of the Good Samaritan, with which we're all familiar. And we learn from that story something that Jesus taught, which is that love is not just about feeling. To love is to act. And that's why we're here today. We're here to act. But we also know from that story that it is to act at cost. It cost him money, it cost him time, he risked himself. And you know, we're here today and it may well cost us time and money to be part of this cause. It may cost us convenience. It may even cost us emotionally to spend our concern on these things. And to live lives that support this cause consistently certainly can cost us, even to the point of costing us our reputations. And that's one of the reasons I'm so thrilled to see the politicians here today, because they do this at great risk to reputation. So say thank you to them. It is to act at cost, and it is to act in service of others. And that's really why we're here today. We're not here for ourselves. We're here for others. We're here for the women who we see in our mind's eye who need a better way. We're here for the children, unborn, who we see in our mind's eye who need a better way. And yes, we're here as well for the men, wherever they are in many of these circumstances, who need to stand up and be men and show a better way. And so when we say love them both, we say let's act, even at cost, in the highest and best interests of others. And the alternative, of course, is the pro-choice approach. And that takes people down a dead-end road of guilt, loneliness, and shame. I always thought that the command, "You shall not kill," was among of all things that God ever said, the most uncontroversial. And yet here we are. And let's boil this down to brass tacks for a second. We actually are talking about laws, whether it's the abortion law that exists or the euthanasia law that's being proposed. We're talking about laws that are actually about sanctioning the taking of other human life. These are laws which are about, at their heart, killing. And some will say, well, that's just religion. To which I say, well, maybe. Or maybe, just maybe it's true. Just maybe we are not supposed to take human life. Maybe we shouldn't kill other human beings. And that's what an unborn child is. It's not another species. It is human. Maybe there is a pathway that if we go down, it is a pathway to soul-destroying guilt and shame. And see, the pro-choice pathway, as they call it, is a pathway that says autonomy and choice are right, even if it means taking a life. That is the pathway to happiness and to liberty for all. But here's the truth. As I've said, that is the pathway to a dead-end road of guilt and shame. And I do believe that guilt is one of the great undiagnosed maladies of our time. You know, recently the New South Wales Transport Minister banned a billboard from the side of buses in New South Wales, which bore the very simple slogan, "A heart beats at 4 weeks." And they were banned. They were banned by the minister. He said they were reprehensible. The activist who complained said, this is going to induce guilt-based shame. Now, those are their words, not mine. They say, yes, people have guilt and shame and it threatens their peace. And indeed, that is where autonomy leads us. When we double down on this false pathway. And guilt can be buried, but it doesn't mean that we're not affected by it. It doesn't mean that it doesn't threaten to raise its ugly head at every turn. And the dark shadow of guilt tragically follows many for various reasons. But surely there can be no guilt like post-abortion guilt. You Google this, Google post-abortion guilt stories. It is heartrending. Well, one I just picked up was a young woman called Laurie. And she said, I wake up in the middle of the night thinking that I hear a baby crying. I simply miss my baby. I constantly wake up wanting to nurse my child, wanting to hold my child, and that's something the doctor said I never would have experienced. Isn't that tragic? You see so many stories like this, but of course, Because from the beginning, it's Genesis 3, she was called mother by her creator. She was created to love and to nurture life, not to take it. Likewise, he, wherever he is, was called defender and keeper. He was supposed to protect and defend life, not encourage the taking of it. Abortion takes a person down a very dark road. Why? It all starts at the lie. This is in fact killing. It is in fact killing. The lie that says that simple statement, you shall not kill, can be ignored and there will be no consequences. As it turns out, that is there for our good, not our harm. This is a child with a heartbeat, with its own blood type, and the ability even from about 16 weeks to feel pain. There's a story of Ben Carson, who is a physician, and he said, I've had the privilege of operating on babies unborn in the womb. 20 odd weeks, 21 weeks, 22 weeks. He said they can respond to touch. He said they respond to pain and you have to give them anesthesia to operate on them. But he said the extraordinary thing to him has been, when he has done these operations, that they respond to warmth and they respond to care. This is the truth. These are lives. And when we take life, we reap the whirlwind. And once we permit that choice to kill, the reality is that things get harder and darker. There's no firm standard once you say that the sanctity of life is no longer the standard. Where do you go from there? How do you define a new standard that's immovable? You look at the euthanasia situation, and much has been said about that today. You go to countries where euthanasia has been in place the longest, and you find that there's no firm standard. In Belgium, they are now euthanizing children as young as 8 years old with disabilities. There's been a number of reported cases. In the Netherlands, they are now euthanizing more and more patients with dementia who cannot consent to their own euthanasia. This is where this leads. Where's the standard? Indeed, they did surveys and they find that the majority of elderly people who opt to die by euthanasia, one of the reasons that they give is that they feel like a burden to others. Again, a tragedy. When life is no longer sacred, there are no firm standards. It comes with the idea in the medical profession that killing another human being is okay. And then we lead down this dead-end road. And with abortion, things are getting worse, and we're thankful to George Christensen for highlighting this. Parliamentary Library research seems to indicate that hundreds, potentially hundreds, actually definitely hundreds across the nation of children are born alive as a result of failed abortion attempts and left to die. This is happening right across the country. How did we get here? How are we? Is this love? Is this choice? Or is this just barbarism? Because that's what it is. But we are here, and I want to remind us in light of that shadowy background, we are here for the right cause. We are here because we say, no, there's a better way. We love them both. And we take action, and it may cost us, and we should continue to take that action because we do it for others. And this is the contrast. The love of Christ said, I will die for you. Abortion is the reverse image of that. It says, you will die for me. Indeed, euthanasia is very often the reverse image of that. And we who know the love of God in Jesus Christ, who said that, I will die for you, we stand here with a different mission. We stand here out of love for God and neighbor, and we say, love them both. We say, care is not killing. And I want to close with this encouragement. I just want to say to you all, it is worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it personally because the presence of a pro-life testimony in your life changes people and changes things. Don't ever give up on that. We are salt, we are light, we're stopping the decay, we're shining the light, and it starts in our own lives. You do make a difference in your little part of the world. The other thing is it makes a difference politically. We've just heard of 2 federal bills that are coming on right now, which are pushing back seriously on this. We've also seen in South Australia the latest jurisdiction to pass late-term abortion, and what we saw there was actually the most restrictive regime we've seen amongst these abortion reforms, with so many amendments passed. Why? Simply because of people like you finding their voice, speaking loudly, and that has drawn a line in the sand that says, yes, activism can do something, and indeed, if we only keep it up, it can continue to do more. And last of all, even if it wasn't worth it personally, even if it wasn't worth it politically, and it surely is, at least we can know this much. It is worth it ultimately, and it is worth it eternally. Because it is Jesus who says, "Well done, good and faithful servant." And it is ultimately his love who said, "I will die for you. I will do the most costly thing for you in the interests of others." It is his love that we carry to this world. And also he told us that we should use our resources, use our time, use what we've been given to make, and I quote from Luke's gospel, friends who will receive us into eternal dwellings. And I think there's a lot of people in that category, but one person in that category is the unborn child for whom we were able and privileged to advocate in this life. And I believe many will be there, and they are our friends, and they are waiting to receive us. And I look forward to that day. And so may it never be said of us who have received the love of Christ that we didn't firstly love God, and we didn't secondly love them both.